I'm Mark Crivelli with gutteruniversity.com, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a collection box from scratch. A collection box, or a leader head, is basically a metal box that's installed on the wall of a building. On a commercial building, it's installed on a scupper, which is basically a hole in the parapet walls, which are the short walls on the top of a flat roof, where the water comes out. It's sort of a square hole where a scupper is put in, water comes out there. A collection box collects all that water and can sort of handle larger amounts of water than just a downspout, and can allow the water to either overflow out the top if there's that much water, or allow water to collect in the box if it's too much for the downspout to handle. Another reason that you might use one of these is if you have two downspouts from two sections of gutter that you're going to be dumping in basically the same area, but you only want to have one downspout coming down the house or the building, a commercial building. So you can dump both downspouts into this collection box and then just have one downspout coming out of the bottom of the collection box. These are really handy to know how to use and build, because they're not cheap to buy. So they're not hard to build either. So the way that you do this is you essentially take a flat stock and mark out the size that you want these to be. And for commercial buildings, and you can get fancy with these, but I'm going to show you how to make a very simple one here. But commercial buildings, if you make a 1 foot wide by 6 inch deep box, that's a pretty standard size box in Denver, Colorado, where I work anyway. I'm going to make a little smaller box here just because it's easier. So anyway, the way you do this is you draw out essentially the box size that you want on flat stock. And I've drawn two lines here on this piece of metal, and I've added a little over a 1/4 inch on either side of the line, and cut out a 1/4 inch outside of this line. And what I'm going to use to make this is hand seamer like this. This is made by Malco. It's about 24 inches long, I think, and it has two grooves in it. This is the inch wide groove, and this is the 1/4 inch groove. And if you insert the metal in this and line it up with the line here on the metal, this allows you to bend the metal with the hand seamer and make essentially what a brake would do, a metal brake. This is a hand brake, so I guess it is a brake. And this allows you to turn up two sides of this as tabs, so that you can attach the other sides of the box to these tabs. So the key to making a box is to make these small tabs. You can also do this with like a hand seamer and try to turn up sides along the metal, but you'll wind up with these horrendous looking like creases every time that you put the hand seamer on this. These small like duckbill hand seamers. So get one of these hand seamers if you're going to be making one of these hand brakes. Once you've turned the sides up, you need two sides to look like this that have tabs on them, and the other two sides will not have tabs, and they'll get screwed into these. The bottom also needs to have a tab. So the way that you deal with this is that you cut off the corner here at essentially a 45-degree angle that will allow you to put this handbrake on the bottom here to turn up another tab for the bottom. So for making a box like this, you're going to wind up with two sides that have two tabs on them and a bottom tab. And you'll wind up with two other sides without tabs on the side, these tabs on the sides, but also with the bottom tab. So if that's confusing, this should clarify things. This is two sides put together. This side has tab here, and a tab on the bottom. And this side has no tabs on either side, but it does have the tab on the bottom. So when we put this together, what happens is that, put a zip screw in this. This can be tricky with only two hands. What we wind up with is a box that has two sides with tabs, and these two sides do not have tabs on the vertical sides. On the bottom, as you can see, everything has a tab. And this allows us to, once we get the box fabricated, we can just put it on a piece of flat stock, trace it out, cut out the bottom, and then screw it straight into these tabs. So what you wind up with here then is a box, once this is completed, that has zip screws going through the side that doesn't have tabs into the side with tabs. And you can change these out with pop rivets if your customer cares about that kind of thing. And pop rivets do look nicer. And then on the bottom, we would put a piece of metal this size, screw it in as well, pop rivet it, whatever. And then we can cut a downspout outlet here and put it in just like we ordinarily would in a gutter. And put this on the wall, just like this. Empty our downspouts into this box, and all the water that's in the box will go out the downspout that's attached to the bottom. The other thing we would do with this, especially if we're working on a commercial building, is to cut a little overflow hole here on the front of the box. Maybe typically it's a half moon shaped hole that's cut here. And that allows the water to overflow out that hole instead of backing up. Because on a commercial building, if this is the back side of the box, the scupper that's coming from the roof goes into a hole we've cut into the back of this box. And if we didn't cut an overflow hole on the front, the box could potentially completely fill with water and back up into the areas around the scupper and flood the inside of the roof. So having an overflow on the outside of the building, it's not critical to cut a hole like that, because if it overflows out the top, it doesn't really matter. It's going to be overflowing on the wall, on the brick, or whatever it's mounted on. But on a commercial building, we really should have overflow hole cut on the front right here. To install this, we would just screw into the wall or pin bolts. We could put, if we're installing on brick or concrete, we can drill 2 holes and put pin bolts in, or even use the ram set to install it. But this is a really simple, cheap way to build a collection box. The inside needs to be caulked, just like we would caulk any gutter seam with 2320 geocell or something similar like that. And that's really a simple way to deal with multiple downspouts feeding into a single downspout coming down, or dealing with a commercial building with a scupper. So that's a collection box.